Greetings, greetings, family. We are live. Yes, we are indeed. And we welcome each and every one of you to another episode of the Sister Shanice Show. As you can see, we've got our brother Zizi Way in the house. We've got Dr. Abu in the house. You're going to be hearing from them in a very short while. I'm just going to give our audience an opportunity to come in, take a seat, get comfortable, because what a ride we're going to be having today. What a journey we are going to be having today. I can see Sister Sheila's getting ready to join us backstage as well. Let's give her 1 or 2 seconds to fix up her camera, and she's going to be coming live and direct. Family, let everybody know we are now live on the Sister Shanice Show. It is Wednesday evening, the 1st of December. And we're looking forward to another really exciting, insightful discussion here today, talking about issues that we're primarily concerned about as African people. So as you come in, please greet us in the chat. As you come in, please give us the thumbs up. As you come in, please do get ready to tell everybody about this particular program. And, we are so miseducated and indoctrinated as a people because, the education that we get is that from the former colonizers. So what would you expect? And we don't control the education system. So we have to find other avenues and other ways of educating ourselves, enlightening ourselves about our wonderful, wonderful history, about who we are as a people, about our identity, about the continent, about all that's great about us as Africans and has been from time immemorial. So as you come in, please do hit us up in the chat. I can see a message that's been left by Ku Malanga, who says, greetings. I'm concerned about Barbados. A ceremony with Prince C, that must be Prince Charles, looking so comfortable. Barbados remaining in the Commonwealth. And he says, and a hip-hop artist made a hero. Hope we can discuss this. Maybe something for us to discuss very briefly by way of opening up as the audience comes in. Rise up, natural mystic. Rise up. Someone's calling. I can't be taking calls now. Want to rise up. The last African in the house. Want to rise up. Wobia man calling in from Jamaica. Okay, let's go over to our wonderful, wonderful guests this evening. Let me ask each of them to introduce themselves and maybe comment on what's happening in Barbados. First of all, let's welcome our guest all the way from the United States of America, none other than our brother Zizi Way. Take yourself off mute, my brother. Please introduce yourself to our audience, and let's have some comments from you about.
How about ladies first? Ladies first.
Hey, me a cheer the team. Go on, Zizi Way.
You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, man.
Ladies first. Okay.
Got you.
We respect our women, and that's why I say we should do ladies first. But if you insist, I'm Zizwe Chaguka. I'm a member of the All African People's Revolutionary Party. Thank you very much. I live in this place, the settler colony called the United States of America, an illegal, racist, terrorist, genocidal settler colony. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any comments on the question that Kumalanga has raised? Did you see the ceremony in Barbados? Did you see Prince Charles looking comfortably? To be honest, I missed that one. But even if you didn't see any comments.
I did. I saw some on video on a couple of news sources. And for me, it's just ceremonial. It's symbol without substance.
Mm-hmm.
The great Kwame Nkrumah talks about neocolonialism, and he says that nominal independence, flag independence, was given to the different countries in Africa when they fought for independence. But under neocolonialism, the economies are still controlled by people overseas, by foreigners. And this is the case in Barbados. The economy is still controlled by major corporations, multinational corporations. So when we make a break from those multinational corporations, they'll truly be free. But being that it's a small island in the Caribbean near the snakes, I think they would take all those islands, that whole region, to break away, because just like they do Haiti, dominate Haiti ever since 1806. The same thing would happen with Barbados. And that's why we have to give special praise and consideration to Cuba, the island nation, which is 90 miles off the coast of the United States, that managed to have a socialist government and economy since 1960, January 1st. But they, of course, they've been sanctioned pretty heavy, and millions of people have died, and millions of dollars have been lost. And now you see what happened recently, where they put more sanctions on Cuba after the blockade that started in 1961, and they couldn't even get sanctions. They couldn't even get syringes to give people vaccines. But despite that, Cuba sent hundreds of thousands of troops to Africa to help liberate South Africa, send nurses and doctors all around the world. So I'm saying all this to say that Barbados would have to align itself with the revolutionary nations in that part of the world, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, in order to be truly free. Thank you.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you so much for that synopsis there, brother ZZ Way. So they'll have to align themselves with countries like Cuba, and also we want to see the rest of CARICOM following suit as well, so that they can operate as a united front and a united bloc. So we want it to be more than window dressing. We want it to be impactful. We want to see the changes that all of us dream of, most definitely. Let's go over to the other lady in the house who you've been wanting to hear from, none other than our regular panel member, our beautiful Queen Sister Sheila. How are you doing? I've dropped out.
I am doing well.
So if I drop out.
Okay, I am doing well. It's an honor to be here. I give thanks. I give thanks to be here. I give thanks to you, Sister Shanice, for this opportunity every Wednesday coming here to talk to our people, to talk with our people, to talk about our stuff. So I give thanks for that. To rise up, Brother Sizwe, and rise up, Dr. Abu. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad to see you. So I give thanks for all of you being here today. And I give thanks to our viewers and listeners who tune in. Give thanks to all of us. With regards to Barbados, it is a good thing that they are stepping out of being under the monarchy and being a republic. So we give thanks for that. 55 years after independence, they finally decide to take that brave step and say they do not want the queen to be their head of state. So that is a good thing. Now let us go to the bad thing. Now they have reasons, and great reasons, for saying we do not want the queen to be the head of the monarch, to be our head anymore. But then they invite her son, who is the heir to the throne, basically the one that will be taking over the queen, to come and speak. It is like breaking free from a rapist that has been holding you hostage for so long. And now you're saying, I don't want to be under this rapist anymore. And then calling the rapist and say, can you speak? And in this ceremony, you kind of adding taint, you kind of tainting your own pure space. So I did not understand that. I did not understand why Prince Charles had to attend. And I did not understand why he had to be given time to speak. And when I was listening to his speech, when he said that some things do not change, and he said the thing that does not change is the close friendship between the monarchy and Barbados. And I was wondering, what close friendship is this? It has been exploitation. It has not been friendship. Slavery, colonialism, racism. So when he says these things do not change, what is he saying? Is he saying this is just a tick box exercise whereby you will think you are free, but actually will still sit here taking hold? I did not understand that. And I would say to the people of Barbados, And to everyone else that we are under the shackles of this people, we have to know that when we are breaking free, it has to be a clean break. We cannot be breaking free and calling the people we are breaking free from to come and have special time at the desk, at the table. On top of it, this Commonwealth thing, Commonwealth. You know, for me, I think when you become a republic and then you join the Commonwealth, I think you've kind of just swapped names, but you've not really necessarily made much difference, for the sole reason, when you look at the Commonwealth, it's just a conglomeration of all these people that were raped by Britain coming together in one place for ease of control. So for me, Commonwealth, and this, when I talk about Commonwealth, it's not just about Barbados. Commonwealth, many countries are there. Certainly the country I come from is in the Commonwealth as well. I do not know what benefit it gives us being in the Commonwealth, other than us giving power and energy to these people that we actually should not be giving our attention to at all. It is us remaining tied to them. So Commonwealth, being in the Commonwealth is part of the problem, because the Commonwealth, the head of the Commonwealth is the monarchy. So when you are in the Commonwealth, you are still bowing down to the monarchy that you're saying you're walking away from. So you've not really walked away as such. It's like you've left one room of a house and gone to another room of the house and then said, you know what, we changed rooms. You are still in the house. You've not really got out of the house. So we give thanks for them making that bold step of saying they don't want the monarchy to be, the British monarch to be their head of state. That's a good thing. But the thing that we question is this idea of always wanting to please them, always having this fascination, as Dr. Abu says, being addicted to them. So yes, we are breaking free, but we can't really break free from the addiction. So as I watched closely what was happening, and I hope that that will begin a wave of many other countries in the Caribbean starting to also say, we are going to follow suit, and we don't want this monarchy to be our head anymore. So we look at the good thing there, and if this happens to be a wave and many start speaking, we learn as we go along, and we reach somewhere, we'll say, you know what, if we are breaking free from the monarchy, let it be a clean break. So it is a step in the right direction. So we give thanks for that. We give thanks.
We give thanks indeed. Most definitely a step in the right direction. Maybe, you know, a huge step all at once might just have been too much for the former colonizers, and it would have been the Cuba treatment, the Zimbabwe treatment, you know, the Haiti treatment. So maybe they're just gently easing themselves out of the clutches of the colonizers. What do you think, brother Dr. Abu? Please introduce yourself and let's hear from you.
Family, you know, rise up,
brothers. Oh, unmute yourself.
You know, I'm on mute.
No, you got you. Is my internet playing up a little bit? My apologies.
Well, once again, give thanks, you know, Sister Sheila, you know, and you, Sister Shanice, and to the oldest member in our audience, also to the youngest, you know, beautiful vibration, you know. I'm Abu Ratata, Galaxy Radio, Afiri.net, more voodoo, you know, and today, to the argument on Barbados, you know, a lot of people said it's a step in direction, but I just say it's a step with the now generation. You understand? It's a step with the now generation, and I'm not too crazy about these republic, because you can get the queen out of Barbados, but you don't get the queen out of mine. And that is the heaviest thing. All of these, because Barbados is not talking about restoration. You understand? You know, none of them is talking about that. And all of these republic, independent, are colonial tools that they give us to play with. You understand? You know, if you're gonna go republic, you have to take the stand of Cuba. You know, you can't talking about republic and going to church and on thing. No, them thing there is totally, and this is what I'm saying. That what I see personal is a form of commercial happiness. You understand? They feed the people them Make the people them think that, you know, the Romans used to do that in the circus and call it bread and circus. So this is what they're going through, bread and circus, and you know, wish them all the best, you understand? But as I said, you know, without we throw away the shackles and the image and all of those tools of the oppressor, we could never call ourselves. You understand? We're just still in limbo, you know. But I give thanks for life. Good.
Budum, rise up, Dr. Abu, as always. Appreciate love your views, thoughts, and opinions. Let's go over to the audience and pick up on some of the comments in the chat. And again, my apologies for any internet interference, broadcasting from Mama Africa. So it does come with its challenges. So if everyone could put their phone on mute, that would be very helpful as well. Avoid any feedback. So family in the chat, let's see and let's hear what you have to say. Knowledge is power. So in the Caribbean have English, France, Spanish, and Dutch colonizers still. Yes, indeed. We're going to be going into that some more in the topic for discussion today as well. Natural Mystic says the artist girl was called out. She made Fenty parts, Fenty pants with the whole back. Oh dear, out that door. Something did I go on there, sir? My apologies, I missed it. So can't really pick up on comments on that. Getting rise up, Dr. Abu from Sister Afrijamo. Paul almost saying, one love, greetings family, watching from Nairobi. We got Nairobi in the house. Rise up, rise up. Sister Sheila getting some rise up there as well. Uncle Mashi, we welcome you. Knowledge is power, saying this happened before in the Caribbean and they killed the person. What happened before? Let's pick up on that. Orbia man, as a Sister Sheila makes the Commonwealth sounds like a harem, a rapist, and his various raped victims all in the same house. Yes, it coming in like it, Orbia man. You know, all of the Caribbean countries, all of the former colonized countries in the same house getting raped and exploited by the former colonizers. And as Dr. Abu was saying, we got to throw away everything, you know, that the colonizers stand for before we're truly free and independent. Anything else is just window dressing. And let's pick up on one or two more comments. First time is saying, time for reconciliation of the African spirits. Yes, indeed. Knowledge is power is agreeing with you 100%, Sister Sheila. Deep psychological trauma, says first time. Enough comments. Thank you so much. Casey is saying, greetings, y'all. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Sister Shanice. We thank you too, indeed. And Last African, hustle behind the muscle, challenge everybody, show the love. North Carolina and everywhere. Thank you so much. And yes, Last African has donated $20 to the cause. Thank you so much, recognizing the huge amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to be here every Wednesday. And, you know, I think we've been going for a couple of years now and been trying to get a little break. May take it up to the end of the year. Normally, you know, with the television, they'll have a series and it'll be like a 6-week series, an 8-week series. Here we've been going for 2 years. So we'll keep it going up to the end of the year and maybe just a little break and before we come back again. So let's go into the topic for discussion today. What's the title? The Long Maafa, leading to the final triumph in Africa. Yes, indeed. Family. We've been talking about the scramble for Africa. We've been talking about, you know, the former colonizers, the various European countries that continue to exploit Africa. You know, they all sat around the table and they partitioned Africa and divided it up like a cake, you know, after they conquered Mama Africa. And it's still in the divided kind of conquered way that it was that they did back at the Berlin conference. And so, you know, this proportioned and divided Africa is what we're looking at today. And it just limits us really in our ability to be able to come strong as a continent. And so they divided us up into these very small parcels following their occupations and their invasions. And here we are now with the former colonizers lording over us, you know, lording over our economy, controlling our legal system, our education systems, our lands, and even us as a people. And we are suffering. The vast majority of us are suffering as a result of it. But these invasions didn't just start back in the 1500s or didn't just start, you know, in the 19th century with the Berlin Conference, and it didn't just start in the 1500s either with all of the you know, colonizers coming in and invading Africa. It goes way back. We have been fighting invasions for about 6 millenniums, and even if we roll back to about 525 BC, we had the invasion of the Persians, and then in 332 BC, we had the invasion of the Greeks. Then the Romans invaded us as Africans. Then we had the Vandals invasions and the Arab invasions. And we have been experiencing invasion after invasion up until now. You know, we are still fighting for our true independence. And so many freedom fighters, so many heroes and sheroes have given their life, you know, as part of this struggle. If we think about the times of our enslavement, you know, so many names of so many former fighters. But I won't go into that now because I'm going to pick up on that as we go through the discussion that we have today. But let's open up with our guest, Brother Ziziwe, all the way from the United States of America, who's going to open the conversation and the topic for discussion today. Brother Ziziwe, the floor is yours. Please take yourself off mute. We welcome you.
Thank you, Sister Shanice.
Brother Ziziwe,
yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And before I move on,
take yourself off mute, my brother.
Yes,
hey.
I'm off mute. And before I move on, I want to give my thanks and praise to you and Galaxy Afiwe, the only de-brainwashing station, for allowing me to come on today and be panelists with our distinguished guests, Sister Sheila and Dr. Abu. I just want to mention one thing, though, in light of what you said. Once upon a time, Europeans looked upon us as the most civilized, educated. We were the closest thing to God in their view. So some kind of way that whole thing got flipped around, and it was done to justify the slavery and colonization and genocide that was waged against African people. And like you said, we don't want to go into the details right now. But what I wanted to bring to the table today was the discussion about a tribunal that was held in New York City, October 22nd to 25th. And it was called We Still Charge Genocide, by a group called the Spirit of Mandela. So this group organized this tribunal, and those who are not familiar with what a tribunal is simply a people's court. Can everybody still see me? Because I'm clicking on some things over here. A tribunal is the people's court. And there have been several tribunals in which people have been put on trial for different things. Like, for example, after the Second World War, you had the Nazis in Germany put on trial. You also had the Japanese put on trial for fascism, but the U.S. government blocked them from being persecuted so they could bring thousands of scientists to the U.S. to help intensify this fascist regime in the States. In 1951, there was a gentleman by the name of Paul Robeson. I don't know if any of you are familiar with him, but he was a scholar, a freedom fighter. He went to one of the most prestigious schools in America, also known as Harvard University. He led it in 4 different sports. He went on to become an actor, played Othello. You know, this play Othello It's a famous play from centuries ago, and Othello, the star, was an African. So he played Othello. He played in many movies, but at the same time, he became a revolutionary. At the same time, he fought for our people's liberty around the world. At the same time, he was involved with the socialists and the communists in terms of organizing themselves. And the revolutionary Pan-Africanists, by the way. He participated in the 5th Pan-African Congress in Manchester, England, 1945. But in 1951, he and another colleague of his went to the United Nations to charge the United States government with genocide. So these people who organized this particular tribunal, October 22nd to 25th, 2021, they wanted to bring up their slogan as the theme for the tribunal that was held by this group, the Spirit of Mandela. And they cited the fact that there was a special international tribunal in 1990 on human rights violations of political prisoners and prisoners of war. They also cited the World Conference Against Racism, Racial Discrimination, and Xenophobia and Related Intolerance in Durban, South Africa in 1990. So in this spirit, they organized this tribunal in which you had special guests from the indigenous community in the United States, also called the Indians. You had people from Africa, the Caribbean nations, and you had a whole lot of people who were of the political prisoner community in the Snakes. In fact, the whole event was inspired by one of the former Black Panthers and the former Black Liberation Army member. I'm going to tell you his name real quick. His name's kind of hard to pronounce, but at any rate, he and the people in the Spirit of Mandela organization, they organized this tribunal to put the United States government on trial. And it was held at the El Haj Malik El Shabazz and Betty Shabazz Center, which is in New York City. And it's the very place where Malcolm X was assassinated. So you had people from Puerto Rico, you had people from Haiti, you had people from Eritrea, you had all kinds of people there. And when they put the U.S. on trial, they said they charged them with police violence, killings, mass incarceration, political prisoners and prisoners of war, environmental racism, public health inequities. You had people from the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. That's a tribe of the indigenous people in the United States. And in fact, this was a tribe that was attacked in the 1600s by these European colonizers. And they made up this story about a Thanksgiving holiday after they massacred 300-400 of these people in this particular tribe and went on to celebrate it, which led to this pagan holiday they called Thanksgiving. So here it was that this tribunal went down, and they found the United States guilty of all those things that I just mentioned. So one of the things we have to understand is that in these courts in the U.S. and the international courts, these courts serve the interests of the U.S. capitalist imperialist system. I'm sure people know by now the United Nations is an instrument of imperialism. The United Nations itself condoned apartheid when it first came into being. It supported apartheid. The United States supported, the United Nations supported those sent forces to the Congo to arrest Patrice Lumumba. So therefore, they supported imperialism in its attacks against Congolese independence. so on and so forth. And the United Nations still serves the purpose of imperialism when it rules against nations like Zimbabwe. It rules against Libya that allowed for the bombing of Libya and turned it into a failed state that it is today. So what I'm pointing out here is that we have to have our own tribunals. We have to have our own people's court that are organized by our people and put these people who are the enemy on trial for these crimes against humanity that have occurred over many, many years. So, what was the tribunal? Think of a tribunal as a people's court. They're as old as basically every indigenous society in existence. In this instance, the people being brown, black, and indigenous came together to present the charges that was listed. They invited the accused party, here being the U.S., to send a representative to defend themselves and make counterclaims. But the U.S. didn't even send a representative, but the show went on anyway. So a lot of these people testified against the U.S. government. And, you know, we have so many cases of people being abused, genocide against the indigenous people, and so on and so forth. Sister Nkechi Taifa, she was the chief attorney for the People's Court. And we know that the jails in the United States, you know, U.S., in case anybody didn't know, is the largest imprisoner of people in the world. Let me say that again. The U.S. has more people in prison than any country in the world. And 50% of those people are people of African descent. Many of them on bogus charges because they are political prisoners. The Black Panther Party used to say that all Africans in America are political prisoners. I agree with that notion because we were enslaved and we were in prison because basically we are the people who are on the bottom of the class structure, and the whole legal system in the United States is based on keeping those folks who are former slaves under control because they know that we are the most revolutionary force in this country. So therefore, these prisons are full of African people, full of Black Panthers, full of people from the Black Liberation Army, so on and so forth. And even the common people who are in such dire poverty, they do things, they strike out emotionally, you know, they steal, etc., they kill, all these different things. In fact, in America, the prison industry is an industry into itself, in case you don't know. Certain prison industries, they privatize most prisons, by the way, in this country. They have sued states in this United States for not bringing X amount of people to be put in jail. Can you imagine that? A country where the prison industry can sue the government for not providing X amount of prisoners. What kind of stupidity is that? So therefore, all these police departments in the United States are under the pressure of bringing in X amount of people to be put in jail. They have quotas. See? So this is what they do in the United States. We are targeted for prison, and we've been being targeted ever since this so-called Emancipation Proclamation was issued in 1865. They created what is called vagrancy laws. In other words, all the people who were so-called freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, if they didn't have a job, they could be approached and say, hey, nigga, do you have a job? And if you don't, they can shoot you, kill you, throw you in prison. So the prison population in the Snakes swelled tremendously after 1865 with the introduction of a series of vagrancy laws, which led to the black codes, which led to segregation and people. The prison industry swelled. And then another nodal point in terms of the prison industry in this country was when the former president Bill Clinton wrote a crime bill to put people in jail 10 times as much time for possessing crack cocaine as opposed to powder cocaine, which is more pure cocaine, which, rich people with money, Europeans got more money, of course. You get 10 times more time for having crack, which was created by the CIA, by the way, shipped through Panama. They created this condition in America whereby they could justify imprisoning our people through the crack cocaine epidemic. By putting diseases in our community, they could kill us, and all these different things. And so this tribunal found the United States government guilty of all these things. And so if people are interested in following this situation, this tribunal, you can Google "In the Spirit of Nelson Mandela." Simply as that. As simple as that. Google it, and you can follow it and see, because this movement is still going on to charge the United States with genocide. And it's a tool to be used for our people to organize ourselves, to join organizations, to fight for the liberation of people, not only in America, but worldwide, because the only way we're going to solve this problem, we're going to have international African solidarity, and also solidarity with other people who have been colonized and exploited, because we're dealing with a monster that is global. So African people have to work with others. African people have to organize themselves. Africa is primary, number one, in terms of getting organized. That's our base, our land base from which we have to operate to finally defeat the enemy who has managed to keep us divided. And this is how neocolonialism works, because after the independence movements of the Second World War, the enemy realized that we don't want a direct confrontation with Africans, so we have to grant them independence. After nations like Ghana and Guinea, Ghana in 1957, Guinea in 1958 became independent, and then you had the Algerian War, the Battle of Algiers. The enemy is slick, very, very, very tricky. So they said, okay, I think we better grant independence to nations because we don't want to have a war with them. It's too costly. So this was the move they made after the Second World War, going into 1960, what was called the Year of Africa. But at the same time, they made a move in the Congo, assassinated Patrice Lumumba with the help of the United Nations. And to this day, the Congo, the richest mineral-rich area in Africa, is controlled by neocolonial puppets, and multinational corporations are stealing the resources, and our people are in dire poverty. Children 8, 9 years old going deep underground to dig out the coltan and diamonds. And then if you see what happened recently, what's going on in Africa, they're trying to attack our people in Ethiopia, to balkanize Ethiopia. The French have control of the economies of 14 different nation states in Africa. They have to put their money in French banks. And like we all stated earlier, all these different islands are still colonized. Here in 2021, they're still a colony of Spain and France and England. So divide and conquer is working in the form of in neocolonialism, where they put an African in charge of the government, but the European capitalists still control the economy. Multinational corporations still dominate the economy. And so when they got you thinking separately, I'm Nigerian, I'm South African, I'm Tanzanian, I'm Ethiopian, I'm Egyptian, as opposed to us working together as Africans worldwide, they can isolate you and invade you with a few thousand troops and overthrow your government. If you try to get what's the term? If you try to get too fresh, declare independence and try to have a socialist economy, they will isolate you and destroy you. So that's why African unity is a must. Continental unity, the bare minimum. We have to have that so that we can finally defeat the enemy. And that's what my organization is all about, the All African People's Revolutionary Party. We want to create continental unity in the form of an all-African army, all-African Committee for Political Coordination, all-African High Command that would include not only African nation states, but nation states like Haiti, Barbados, Cuba, and others in alliance with us. South American nation states, Asian nation states, everybody who's willing to fight against these imperialists, we down with them. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't talk too long.
Not at all. Thank you so much, my brother. I mean, you covered thousands of years of history there. We have been fighting for 6,000 years at least as a people. It's been a long road to freedom indeed, and we're still on that road fighting for our freedom. We haven't lost, we haven't given up, and we're not going to make all of the lives that have been lost and the blood that has been shed to be in vain. Far from it. So just going back to that panel, I see here in terms of a little bit of a background that the panel of juries heard testimonies emphasizing the millions upon millions of indigenous and African people murdered, disappeared, and nearly exterminated over a period from 1492 through to present day. I mean, they've just gone back to 1492, but as I said, you know, there have been Africans who have been wiped off of the face of the earth. Some of the countries and the continents that we're familiar with today originally were inhabited by Africans. And now if you look at the complexion of those continents, you would think that they were always inhabited by Caucasians. Such is the extent of the extermination, the persecution, and the genocide that has been happening to us as a people over the millenniums. But in this particular jury, they heard of the genocide and the extermination that started from 1492 through to present day. And it says here that further, the witnesses and the prosecution argued that the wrongs have been historic and deliberate, with colonization, racism, militarism, imperialism, materialism, criminalization, patriarchy, neocolonialism, and internal colonialism as part of a larger process that now manifests itself in medical and digital apartheid, chemical warfare, environmental violence and racism, a disinvestment, and a pandemic of accessible guns and drugs, with the majority of gun violence perpetrated by police and security forces in the false claim of upholding the law. I mean, you know, the book was thrown at these colonialists, and all of this is basically what they have been doing for centuries. And the People's Tribunal, as our brother was saying, found them guilty. There were statements that were made testifying to the new forms of colonialism, you know, which has made, as our brother was talking about, the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex, and the commercialization of our health and privatization, commodification of all social services. We are basically just pawns in this bigger game where we as a people are being exploited. We as a people have, you know, for thousands of years just been the victims of this huge industrial complex, slave complex, etc. And it's time for change. It really is. And so we really do rise up. Countries, small countries like Barbados, that's trying, you know, to extrapolate itself away from the clutches of these colonialists. But we know only too well how difficult and how challenging that is. I'm going to go to the chat after we hear from our sister Sheila, what her thoughts and views are on this particular topic today. Sister Sheila, come in, my dear. The floor is yours.
I give thanks. Thank you so much, brother. This way, you have educated me, you have schooled me. I give thanks, and I'm sure I'm speaking for many of us. I will start with a story as usual. So some time back, there were two men. I'm a life coach, and as a life coach, I deal with people coming to me with issues to do with life. So there were two women that came to me some time back, and each of them were in very, very toxic marriages, extremely toxic marriages, the marriages that you can even be killed while at it. Very violent men. So, and there were children involved in these marriages as well. So I did ask them, we speak with it's a very intimate conversation you have with a life coach. And I did ask them, what is it that they want from it? What is the outcome? What do they want? In an ideal situation, what do they want? And one of the women was like, I want to be free. I want to be free from this abusive marriage. I want my children to be free. I just want to be free. And another woman was like, I want my husband to change. I want to see if I can have a place where I can go and pray and fast and see how it can change. I want my marriage to be happy. I want to stay as a family. I want to live happily with this man. Years later, so for me, when it comes to things like this, it's different advice tailored for different people. So the woman that wanted to leave, the one that wanted to choose herself, because she said there was no confidence in the husband anymore. He was not a man that was protecting her. He was not seeing her as a goddess, someone worth protecting. He was someone that harmed her, that she could not even sleep peacefully at night because the man several times had threatened to strangle her as she slept. So she said there was no way she wanted to stay in this marriage. She was having nightmares. Her children were also very traumatized in the process. And she said she just wants out, so she needs help on how she can break free. The other woman wanted to pray and fast and hope for change and all that kind of thing, wanted to know how she can put up with the abuse without necessarily suffering so much. So she had accepted the abuse and now was hoping that the man would change. Well, the other one had said, no, I'm not having it. Years later, the woman that had wanted to break free, broke free, is living very freely. Her children are free. She's very okay. The other woman succumbed to cancer. She got cancer. Cancer can't come because of stress, because of hormones, got hormonal cancer, and eventually died. The man moved on to marry another woman, continued with his life, did not even, as in, there was no remorse from his side. So why am I sharing this story here? I'm sharing this story because when Brother Zizo was talking about this tribunal, which is on a genocide level that has been happening to our people for a very long time. This is like abuse. We have suffered. We are victims of abuse under the white supremacy system, under this other race. And we have a choice. We have a choice to either sit there and hope for them to change, hope for them, we could pray and fast. Certainly we use religion for things like this and say, God blesses those who suffer. I don't know, blessed are those who suffer. They will see heaven or whatever it is. We are told to turn the other cheek and all that kind of thing. We can sit there like the woman I'm giving in this story. We can sit there and do absolutely nothing, hoping that they will change, hoping that we bend ourselves this way or we integrate or we do this and we do that, hoping that the change is going to happen miraculously from the oppressor. Or we can speak like the other woman and say, this has to stop. We cannot continue. Something has to be done. We are ready to fight. We are ready to do this, and we have to stop. And you know what? Just like that woman, we can end up being successful. And as it is with the verdict of this tribunal, which has been going on for a long time, but the verdict has validated us. It has said that, yes, this has happened. And normally, this is normally the first step. It may look like a tiny thing, but it's a big thing because it gives motivation to many of us to take forth other channels. And sometimes we start with the tribunals because the tribunal is the thing that is available to us at that point in time. So it's not necessarily perhaps the best because, as we say, the tribunal is also a system in the oppressor system. But we have to make do with what we've got to do at that point in time. I look at it like our ancestors who were in these slave plantations, and they were there and they needed to break free. They had to make do with what they had at that time, to allow them to make that one single step forward. And then from that step forward, they make another step forward, then another step forward. But it's a step at a time. And before long, they made their 1,000 steps and they're off the plantations. And that's why we can have shows like this, sitting, having shows, speaking so candidly like this, freely in our own houses to the level of freedom that we can have. It's not there yet, but it certainly steps forward than where our ancestors were in the plantations being whipped on horseback. So you see, these are the steps we make. These are the steps we make when we start talking. So the tribunal is indeed a big step that our brothers took. You know, the issue, the first two that went and took that case to the tribunal, and it's been going on, meaning that people have been picking up and continuing and not letting it lie, you know, not letting it rest. And as Brother Zizwe now has brought it to us now, so this is also our topic, and we are not letting it rest by speaking about it. This is exactly where we say putting your mouth where your money is, whereby you speak. Because the other thing you can do is sit back and wait for the oppressor to change. Or you can say, we're going to do the bare minimum that we can do, you know, based on the circumstances we have. We will start from here. And it's always about mindset. But sometimes when we have been brainwashed so much, to even get to that mindset, we need that little bit of hope injected in that mindset. And you see, when we have tribunals like this, whereby we've got these verdicts coming, that is the little bit of hope that is needed for us to start changing that mindset. When we are validated and said, yes, this wrong has happened, and this has happened, and this has happened. So I give thanks for the tribunal. I give thanks for the fight that has been there in our people to keep fighting over and over and using their own systems, you know, the system of the oppressor, for the oppressor to admit that, yes, indeed, some wrong has been committed. This is how we take off some notch from their goalposts. It is a step in the right direction to start from there as we head towards the mindset. Now, before I finish, I would like to talk about the prison system. Now, you see, prison was something foreign in Africa. We didn't have prison system because we had ways in which we could correct behaviors that were errant. First of all, we believed in prevention better than cure. So the way when a child was born, and the Ubuntu was a system that was in place, that child knew they belonged to the community, and the community knew that this child belonged to all of them. So the way this child was brought up, the child was brought up with warmth and love, and therefore, and belonging. So the child never needed to burn the village to feel its warmth, because he was brought up with that warmth. And then the child belonged. So there was structures in place that actually made jails irrelevant. They were not needed at all. You knew that if you committed any crime or if you committed something wrong, the rest of the community, you'd let them down. It was not something that it's only you that's committed wrong, it's everyone else. So you find that the concepts we had, or the processes we had, the mental processes we had, they were completely different. So it meant that we worked on a different software altogether. Then these invasions that's happened, as Sister Shanice, you said, for 6 millenniums. 6 millenniums, things happening, definitely it works on our mind. And so we are in the place now that we have prisons. As Brother Zizwe has said that in America, prison is a business. You find that in the motherland, prison is a business as well. It gives employment. It gives things brings tax to the government. Like in Kenya, the prison gives free labor. They make furniture. They make things to sell, of which they sell, and all the money goes back to the government. So they give free labor. They go also do things like slave plantations, because the prisoners are given work to go and work on the farms for government officials, or farms for not government farms for private people that benefit from that free labor. So it is a business. It's a big business. So you find there would be need for the prison system to continue being there, because it's feeding, it's a profitable business. We shouldn't forget that prisons are tied to the British monarchy system. They say when you are a prisoner, you are Her Majesty's guest. So you find all prisons go back to this monarchy that we were speaking about when we were talking about Barbados. Then it takes us to these republics. It takes us to this, takes us back to Maafa. It takes us back to Commonwealth. We go back to the same source of our problems. So these are some of the changes that we need to see. We need to look and start asking, are prisons really working for us? Do we need to have prisons in African soil? We can say in America, they have taken over and it is a white man's land. So we really don't have much say there. We are a people that are less, because they have killed us. We are not the majority there anymore. So their system will run the show. But now in somewhere like Caribbean or somewhere like Africa, whereby we melaninated people are the majority? Do we still need to have the systems that oppress our people? Do we need them? And then we also have to ask questions like, when we send our people to prisons, are we helping the situation or are we making it worse? Because in my experience, I come from a family whereby my uncles, my maternal uncles from my mom's side, all of them are in the police force or in the army or they're in the defense forces. So I know quite a bit about prisons. And what I know is that the first time someone goes to prison, most of the time is normally on the court system itself sends a lot of innocent people to prison, or it sends a lot of people with very flimsy slights, something that could have been rectified in another way. But then they go to prison, and when they come out, they come hardened. The prison has a way of making them now tough prisoners, tough criminals. So when they come out now hardened criminals and recruit more people to be criminals. So from that one person that you took, when he comes out, he will take 10 more. He will recruit 10 more prisoners. So you find that in the end, that sending that one person to prison has not improved the community. It has actually made the community vulnerable, because when that person eventually comes out, and they do come out, when eventually he comes out, he is going to make that village to be a village of prisoners, because he's going to recruit many prisoners. From there, many people are going to be criminals, and they are going to go back to prison. So you find many prisoners, it's a cycle. They go to prison for a while, get more hardened, come out, do some crime, recruit a few more people to be prisoners, get back in, get hardened, come back out, do the same, get back in. So you do ask, what role is it playing? And during this time he's doing all these things, he can start a family. So that is a family without a father figure, without a head there. It is a mess. It is not, prisons are not working. So these are some of the things we have to sit and say, what was there before? How was our system before? And do we need to have these prisons in our land? If we are saying we are independent, we are a republic, we're standing on our own, can't we have these solutions for ourselves, for our own problems? So there are lots of questions that we need to ask ourselves and come up with lots of answers. And a lot of this we borrow from this tribunal. Just listening to Brother Zizwe speak, I was coming up with so many ideas of things that we can actually implement in our own countries, that even our own justice system, we can have our own justice system. We can have our own ways of dealing with things, as opposed to using this court system with their long-winded ways of trying this and arguing this and saying, bring evidence for this, and all this evidence can't stand in court. We have our own systems. We had our own systems. Where are they? Where are they? So these are the questions we ask ourselves as we listen to cases like this. And of course, as we listen to cases like this, we also ask ourselves, how can I contribute my energy in this case? Because this is not a case of some people far away. This is a case of our people. This is a case of us. So we also ask ourselves, how can we contribute to this? How can we become of use to this? I give thanks, my people. I give thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Good question there, Sister Sheila. My internet's a little bit choppy, but I certainly hope that everyone heard every single word of what you said there, and absolutely agree with you and all that I've heard. We've got to extrapolate ourselves from the current system that we're in. I mean, it's just oppressing us as a people. What did we have before? We had a higher, level of civilization. I mean, it's unfathomable for most of us to even begin to imagine, how we were prior to all of these invasions, because it's been going on for so long. Earlier in my show today, I was just looking at the medical industry in terms of, the knowledge and the high level of science that the Africans had, thousands of years before Christ, the whole range of operations that they were conducting, the knowledge that they had of tumors, of dentistry, of our body, of remedies and recipes. I mean, we were so far and highly advanced as a people. It's just unimaginable. We are being so oppressed as a people and so held down. We think that being equal to the Wazungus is what we ought to be working towards, but it's not. We've got to remove ourselves from all of their systems, their policies, their procedures, their institutions, their organizations, and put in place our own higher level of civilization like we had before, but obviously modernized for the modern times. We're going to go over to Dr. Abu, and then we're going to go to the chat, and we're going to be bringing in some of the comments, thoughts, and opinions from our audience. Dr. Abu, what say you to the conversation that we've been having so far, my brother?
Well, rise up to the panel, you know. The Maafa. If we all to tell our old, if to use the sea as ink, it will run dry. You understand? To write what we go through as a people. You understand? You know, and it grieved me when we come on platform like this, and then you have people that said we must not blame, we must not blame that. Who should we blame? Eh? Because some of us are in certain positions, we forgot our purpose. And that is the problem. You understand? You know, the tribunal is good. And I tell you why the tribunal is, it's a demand. It's not a petition, it's a demand. You understand? And many of those come forward to either give evidence or participate in that. It's like they're going to war. It's a threat against them. You got to be brave to stand up in that arena. And we must bring that information to the family, to the children, and make them know that that is our drama. They're playing their drama, because one after we have educate our people in it's through drama. Play a great part. You understand? Even informing our people to certain things. You understand? You know? If a certain people can trick us in that even we are utter it out of our own mouth, that and all of these things. Full time we wake up and realize that the Maafa that we go through as a people, the heart that we are facing right around the world, no matter where we are. It's an arrow. It's like we're in an arrow movie. Yeah? And I'm saying that I haven't seen no Exodus program. No Exodus. You can't tell me, you know, 5 out of the Exodus program returned last year, or 2 out of the Exodus program. Nothing like that. And I'm saying that something is wrong. Something is drastic, because we have organization that is going for more than 70 years, and they don't even have a piece out in Africa, no preparation. So that means when you start to investigate and check, it seems like some of these organizations is here to keep here. You understand? They have no exit plan for us. You understand? And the government in the motherland have no welcome plan. You understand? And this is the thing that we in the diaspora, you understand, have to organize ourselves in such a way, because we don't realize that what we're going through, the people in Africa is going through the same thing. The people in the Caribbean, the people in America is going through the same thing. And I'm saying that we can't just sit here and just write petition. We should have taken out a lawsuit. A long time I said we should have taken out a lawsuit, and the British government, you know, not this present government alone, you know, because all of them is involved in that. The Labour, the Conservative, every one of, you know, and I will start to do that. Then the young people will say that we're doing something. You understand? But it make no sense. We here writing petition, begging that. It's full time we do that, because when we do things like that, it's a declaration. It's a declaration of war. You understand? You know? Because as I said, we have to We have to move in a way where we can restore ourselves. A way we can restore ourselves is by us. We can't restore ourselves, not all. That is a colonial doctor give us. All it do is bring pain to us. It set up us amongst ourselves. You know, you have African man now not even live good with them one African woman. And we start to blame them. Oh, are you right now? But we don't look and see the cause. You're just victims of the cause. You know? And these are the things we should have more tribunal to show the world. You understand? What they're doing to us sexually, what they're doing to us in their penal system, death in custody, all of these things. More lifestyle that African take is not natural, but then just go along to get along because it gives them a position. And that's a great sickness amongst us. You understand? When we start to blame one another for the things that we're going through. As I said, I never start the fire. My brother Shanice never start the fire. And sister Shanice never start the fire. Sister start the fire. We are just here trying to put it out. You understand? But at the same time, they are putting oil in the bucket that we can't catch water. So all we got to know already, throw away everything that they give to us. It's not easy. It's not easy. And don't do this thing in 8. Do it in 8. If you do it in 8, you'll never accomplish what you need to accomplish. Deal with the truth. As we said, Vodum Da'a, the true spirit, always present. Vodum.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abu.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Vodum, Dr. Abu. Yes, indeed, you know, and so much what we've got to do to throw away. My apologies for the poor reception. Where, you know, thank you for hanging on there with us as we work through it. Dr. Abu, as always, very insightful, thought-provoking remarks from yourself. We welcome Brother Jammers to the house as well. Welcome, Brother Jammers. We'll bring you in a short while. Let's go over to the chat. I did say that I would bring in some of the comments from the chat. So let's see what we've got. Keep talking, brother. I hear you through the network problems. Tuka Pamuja says, the blame goes all the way to those that classify themselves as white, whether directly or indirectly, it leads to them. Why do you think they want to end critical race theory? They know. Oh yes, they're the problems that we've been having since they came out the caves. Actually, on all fours, we have been experiencing genocide and at the hands of these people. Enough rise up for Dr. Abu and others. Looks like we need to get the likes up. Come on, family. We've got 112 watching, says Sister Afrijamo, and only 34 likes. Well, go on, I like the show. You know, are we doing this all in vain? Come on. It doesn't cost you anything to give us a like. Obviously, you need to have a YouTube channel and be logged into your YouTube channel to give us a like. So if you're not due already, do sign up. Okay, can everyone put their phone on mute, please? Brother Jammer, please mute your phone. I'm getting some feedback, not sure where it's coming from. Ubuntu is saying, greetings, esteemed panel. Give thanks for your energy and time in trying to find solutions to fight for survival. Collectivity is the only way forward. It really is, you know, and our history is testimony of that. You know, when we've been divided as a people, we've been so easily conquered. And what we don't realize is that when the weaker ones of us side with our enemies to conquer the stronger ones, those that are left are just the weaker ones, who the conqueror then just conquers and takes over. And this is the pattern of events throughout our entire history. Uncle Mashi is saying competitive intelligence is knowing yourself first. We hear you on that. We so need to know who we are and our greatness as a people. Once we recognize how great we are, we will throw their systems away and just replace it with our own. We wouldn't even be talking about it. We'll be just acting on recreating our great kingdoms, our great empires, and the great ones that we were back in the days prior to our interaction with the Caucasians. Montu is saying, if anybody would have seen the state of Europe after World War II, you would understand why they gave Africa independence. Okay, they were on their knees. They fought each other so hard over Africa that they weren't even in a position to keep hold of it. And our freedom fighters, our liberationists, they took advantage of that and they won back Africa, you know, from those former colonizers. And the colonizers had no choice but to give us independence. But what we didn't do is throw away all of their images, all of their institutions, all of their structures that they had in place. We didn't throw those out. And because we didn't, you know, those governments that replaced those revolutionary freedom fighters basically held on to the structures of imperialism. And that's where we're at today, you know, looking at how we're going to free ourselves from those continuous structures of imperialism. But when we go back to Brother Ziza, where I'm sure you'll have a lot more to say on that, let me just spin the wheel, so to speak, and bring in one or two more comments. Betty Jenkins is saying, with regards to the prison system, slavery by another name is still slavery. Yes, indeed it is, my sis. And Orbia Mana said, in the end, nature will have the final say. Yes, indeed. Well, let's welcome Brother Jammers in the house. Welcome, Brother Jammers. We're so delighted to have you on board. I realize there's a little bit of a delay, but please do take your phone off mute, introduce yourself, and let's hear from you, my Brother Jammers.
Well, I just walked into a fire hazard where with Dr. Abu, so I can feel the heat generated from the panel tonight and the family. So this is a most insightful discussion and something that needs to be talked about. You know, we need
to Jammers, got true.
And make the way forward so we can regenerate ourselves. You know, I've got a short presentation to show at a convenient time for you as well. Respect. There seems to be a slight delay on my side. Can you hear what I'm saying? Right. Okay. I can't hear you. I'll do a little screen share, and I hope you can hear.
Rise up, Brother Jammers. You want to go through with that now? Let's hear. Let's get a brief.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, from what Dr. Abu was saying, we're stuck in his story. Until we leave his story, you know, we're not going to be able to generate ourselves or regenerate ourselves, because his means it's not from us, and a story is based up of fact and fiction. So if we're taking the words from the enemy and storing that in ourselves, all we're going to restore is what he's given us to store in his story. So we have to throw away his story. And I'm just going to share my screen. So I hope you can see my screen.
I hope you've been carrying on without me. I dropped out for a moment there.
Yeah, I'm just checking. Can you see the screen share?
Okay.
No.
No. We can't see it. No.
You can't see it.
Share screen.
See, Mike, you haven't got time.
Share screen again, Brother Jammers. Okay.
Could you? Yeah.
I think I have to add it from the backstage, Brother Jammers. So share screen now while I've got internet, and right, go to share screen. Remember.
Yeah.
And then go to share screen again. Windows.
Yeah.
After Windows, open up your document that you want to share.
It's not. I
And
don't
it
think it's
should pop
allowed.
up
It's not allowing me to
backstage
share.
here, and I can add it to the screen.
No, it's not. It's not allowing it to share this time round.
I'm not seeing it yet, though.
It's not. It's not sharing. No, unfortunately, it's not sharing.
It should do. You've clicked share twice, have you?
Yes.
Oh, do you want to try one more time? Do share. Oh, okay. All righty.
Unfortunately, it's not allowed it to. Unfortunately, yeah, no problem.
Well, what you could do is either email it to me or send it to me now if you want, and we come back to it. But in the meantime,
yeah, rise up, family. Sister Shanice dropped out at the moment. As you want to continue the reasoning.
Oh, do you want me to? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So basically, what I was going to share with you is a speech by Pixley Semi, the first president of the African National Congress, which was founded in 1921. And he talked about the regeneration of Africa, and he made a speech in the 5th of April 1906. So basically, for those who do not know, the African National Congress, the ANC, is a premier South African political party, originally the South African Native National Congress. And what he talked about in relation to the regeneration of Africa is that they have tried to compare races on the basis of some equality. But in all works of nature, equality, if relate it to identity, is an impossible dream. Nature does not make anything equal. Everything has its own unique quality. This is why we can't follow the narrative of somebody other than ourselves who does not represent us in our true essence. He says the region of Africa, the races of mankind are composed of free and unique individuals. An attempt to compare them on the basis of equality can never be done satisfactorily. Africa cannot be compared to any European continent. There's no common standard in relation to anybody in comparison with us. When you look at the ancient monuments of Africa and Egypt and the proportions and the grandeur of its architecture, it reduces to insignificance anything that the West have created in relation to our greatness. If you just look at the pyramids, there's structures in the world which represents nothing else is comparable to what we created in our past. So this is why we have to move from his story to our original source of who we really are. We are the people that gave greatness to civilization. So this is our starting point to regenerate us, is that we have to go past his story and go back to who we are and move forward in our greatness. He talks about the regeneration of Africa is taking place right now at this minute through our young stars and through the tactics that they're using, to stop us moving forward, which by nature, which by the very essence of nature, with the increasing sun, with their disease that they're generating amongst themselves, with them putting themselves out of existence with their own technology. This is their attempts to stop us as a race moving towards our next phase. And the basic factor which the regeneration is going to occur is in the awakening of our consciousness. And this is what is happening with us now, with platforms like this, with the communication via the internet. We are getting an awakening of our consciousness, which is starting to give us a clear perception of our elemental needs and developing our powers. And it will lead us, therefore, to attain a higher and advanced standard of life. So in relation to installing ourselves, our code of conduct within ourselves will relate us to aspire to greatness and our ancestral greatness and genius. And we have a great recuperative power of our race, because if you look what we've been through, look the suffering, the torture, and the trauma, and you look how we are today, you can see the greatness is within us now. We just have to manifest it into reality. So the regeneration of Africa means that a new and unique civilization is soon going to be added to the world, and this new and unique civilization is us. The most essential departure of this new civilization is from the old methods that have been imposed on us, and this will give us a more spiritual and a holistic regeneration in ourselves, so that we will be able to strive together as a family. So that's the basics of the presentation that I was going to put forward. But it's the regeneration of our consciousness, the awakening of our consciousness. And this is when we go past his spell of his story, because all he shows us is suffering. And if you get suffering just show that you constantly, then you're only going to manifest the suffering that you've been taught. So all the Black History Month, all the films is all to show us trauma, because we are people of carbonite, melanated people. We absorb information. So if you show us trauma, we're going to exhibit trauma. So this is why, as Dr. Abu said, we have to burn fire upon his story. Go to her reality, because her reality is our future. The mother is our future. So, and this is how we can regenerate ourselves. So this is what we have to look towards. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Brother Jammers. I only got the tail end of what you said there, and it sounded awesome. I'm going to jump out the way and bring in Brother Zizi now, while I've got the opportunity to bring him in. Brother Zizi.
Thank you. We appreciate what you gave us, Brother Jammers, immensely. So a few things I want to speak on. First thing I want to say is that we're going to win this battle in spite of ourselves. We're going to win in spite of ourselves. This is what Kwame Ture used to tell us, the former Stokely Carmichael. I absolutely agree. And what we have to do is we have to have a world vision, a world analysis, and, for lack of a better term, a historical analysis. El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X, he told us that out of all our studies, for lack of a better term, history is best able to reward our research. So when we look at our history in terms of our fight, this long Maafa we've been in, we've made tremendous progress. We made tremendous progress. And this is what the enemy understands, is that we've made so much progress, and the war of information is the most important aspect, the propaganda war, in other words. That's how you win the battles. Because as Garvey said, I always bring this up, Sister Shanice knows. Once you liberate the minds of men, you eventually liberate the bodies of men. So the enemy knows this. And this is what this is their most important strength in their war against our people, the Maafa, is to keep us confused, to keep us miseducated about our history and culture, to keep us thinking that what they're offering is the best that there is to offer. We have to have a class analysis also. We have to understand that Europe, the social contradictions of Europe have been imposed on the rest of the world. That's what imperialism is. In Europe, they had so many class contradictions, and they imposed them, pushed them off into the rest of the world. The class contradictions, the nationality contradictions. So in my organization, we take a nation, class, and gender analysis. And analysis is very important, because in order for you to solve a problem, you have to have the correct analysis. For example, on this panel, we've been talking about the necessity for unification. We know that that's the basic aspect of the analysis that's going to bring about the solution to our problems. But with unity presupposes organization. Unity presupposes organization. And when you study the history of the Revolutionary Pan-African movement, there was tremendous progress. The Fifth Pan-African Congress afterwards brought the liberation, the independence of those African states, 17 in one year, 1960. And the onward progress was going towards the total liberation and unification of Africa. But our enemy began to get on the offensive with the assassination of Patrice Lumumba and the balkanization process to keep African states from unifying into one unified socialist Africa. And after the Second World War, there was such an increase in terms of multinational corporations that were put in Africa by the United States of America. If you study the information, and Nkrumah has a book that talks about it, by the way, Class Struggle in Africa, Africa Must Unite. If you study those books, you can see it was such a large investment of multinational corporations from the U.S. post-Second World War. And then, of course, the military apparatus. You got at least 800 U.S. military bases around the world. All this came about after the so-called Second World War period, when, as the person in the chat correctly said, the European nations were fighting each other over colonies, over who's going to control the world. And they tore each other up, and that gave an open door for the independence movement to come about, you know. But we have to understand the correct analysis in terms of, was it the fight in Europe that led to our independence, or was it the ambassador of the people that led to our independence, who was fighting for independence? I say it's the latter, beginning with the independence of Haiti, 1804, and Guadeloupe. By the way, Guadeloupe said they were independent before Haiti. The French reimposed it on Guadeloupe. So when we look at those facts, irrefutable facts, it was the African liberation movement that pushed and led to the war that went down between the European nations. Because Germany, coming late on the scene, they wanted to get colonies, and they wanted to industrialize really fast. So they tried to colonize different places in Africa, and that's what led to the European nations fighting each other. But our people's resilience, the masses of African people struggling and fighting against colonization, is what led to the independence movements, which led to the creation of these nation states. And then the enemy sabotaged all that, because those folks who were in the leadership of those revolutionary movements couldn't manage to get one central government for Africa, because we had people who succumbed to the European imperialists tricking them. They were sellouts. People who fought against Nkrumah and Ahmed Sekou Touré in terms of forming a central government. They said, no, we don't want no central government. They said Nkrumah was trying to be the president of Africa. They was afraid of him. Stuff like that, you know. So some of our own people sabotage the movement towards one United States of Africa, which would have been a tremendous leap. Just thinking we had a central government since then, how far ahead we'd be. Africa is the richest continent on earth. So in regard to those things we talked about with the tribunals, what the tribunals do is they expose to the world a lot of the things that you won't hear in mainstream media or through the United Nations, for example. These are all instruments of the imperialists. So like Dr. Abu said, we have to have our own courts, our own institutions that we have to build up, but we have to have liberated territory to build them on. This is why they had to destroy Zimbabwe, Libya, and anybody who had a liberated territory, that's who they went after first, to destroy our ability to have our own territory where we can put our own institutions at, our own economic, because what would happen is, if you integrate Africa economically, it'll be the most dominant powerhouse in the world. But we say that's going to happen in spite of ourselves. We know it's going to happen. And the enemy is losing everywhere. And this is what we have to do, is to show our people how we are making so much progress. The enemy, the victories that's going on all over the world, especially in Africa, against the enemy. We're making a lot of progress. The only problem we have to solve now is to coordinate it, have continental international coordination. And so the enemy is on the run. They know they have to stay a step ahead of us, and they have to create confusion, like with Ethiopia. They said the Ethiopian government is committing crimes against humanity, and the Ethiopian government is doing X, Y, and Z. So this is the propaganda, the information they're putting out, and our people swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, as opposed to our institutions and organizations that are putting out the correct information. So what we have to do is get the correct information out. We have to have mass political education about the truth, the correct analysis. Zimbabwe is a terrorist state. Mugabe was Gaddafi was a terrorist. But in Libya, you had free healthcare, free education, $50,000 upon the birth of a child. Everybody got to share the oil wealth in the country as a Libyan citizen. If that's a dictator, I want to be under that dictatorship. Because here in the United States, healthcare is so expensive. It's horrible over here. Our people are locked up on a continuous basis. We comprise more than 50% of the prison population. As you all seen in the mainstream media, they got Europeans who could go and shoot you, and they got it on video, and they can still be declared innocent, not guilty. These police shot this brother in the back 7 times. His name was Jacob Blake in Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin. He had just broke up a fight between 2 women, 2 African women fighting. He goes to break up the fight, being a good person. He goes to his car. This police ran up behind him and shot him in the back 7 times. He didn't die. But that's what led to that whole mass rebellion in Kenosha, in which this European little 17-year-old boy calls himself going to protect property, coming all the way from Illinois, which is another state, to protect property with an AR-15. And what happened in that court? Innocent of all charges. He killed 2 Europeans who supported our people. He was declared innocent of all charges. And when you look at the Black Panthers, they put so many Black Panther members in jail, members of the Black Liberation Army who've been in jail for 50-some years. And let me mention this while I'm talking. Russell Maroon Schultz, he just got out of jail in October. The same day as the tribunal, by the way. Russell Maroon Schultz was a Black Panther member who was railroaded, spent 50 years in jail. They let him out because he had cancer. The 2 men who were convicted of assassinating Malcolm X, I don't know if you all heard about that one. They exonerated them after 50-something years, right? But we, the people, know who killed Malcolm X. It was the FBI, CIA. But see, that kind of information is not common because their propaganda machine has most of our people believing the lies. Gaddafi says you could tell 1,000 lies. You know, in the Nazi regime, their propaganda minister, his name was Goebbels, spelled Goebbels. He was a master with propaganda. He said, we tell the people a lie 1,000 times and they won't believe it. Gaddafi comes to tell us that you can smash 1,000 lies with one truth. That's the importance of information. That's the great importance of getting information out. And this is what we have to do. We have to get the correct information to the masses of the people so that the masses of the people will move to support our liberation struggle by joining organizations, by supporting the revolutionaries and the revolutionary governments so that we win this battle. But we're going to win the battle without a doubt. And they know it. That's why they're doing what they're doing in Africa now with military bases. Do you all know that they got 26 military bases from the United States in Africa under the name AFRICOM? They give it an African sounding name, AFRICOM. In other words, that's the African Command. And they have dissected the whole world up into, they got the Southern Command. They got the one in the Asian Pacific, what's it called? ASEANTO. They got NATO, of course, the North Atlantic Terrorist Organization. They got called CENTO, the Central Asian European organization, which Egypt is part of, by the way, that includes Turkey and these other nations. So they have they have divided the world up into military commands with these 800 bases they got, so that if anybody tries to get out of pocket or try to fight against the imperialists, they can send 1 million troops. But in Africa, our masses are revolting. If you all heard, they tried to send a military convoy through Burkina Faso. You had 10,000 Africans out there blocking the way for 3 days. They had a drone flying over the crowd, and a young man shot the drone down with his slingshot. He's a hero now because our people are in the streets demanding justice, fighting for change all over Africa. It's just a matter of getting unified and organized. That's all it is. So these tribunals are important to put this information out there so our people know the truth. Like the one that happened in Durban, South Africa in 2001. If you all know what happened with that, the World Conference Against Racism. The European imperialist nations were being exposed for crimes against humanity. So they came in there, they said, before they even came, they said, if you all going to criticize the U.S. and the Zionist state of Israel, we're not coming. So they sent a delegation in late. They refused to pay their fees because all the nations had to pay a part of the fee for hosting the World Conference Against Racism. They refused to pay. And they left early once the people started getting on the stage and say, the Zionist pigs been killing our people. They're killing the Palestinians. They're killing people in Africa. By the way, 46 nation states in Africa have an Israeli embassy. And just recently, the chair of the African Union let the Zionists have observer status. But they won't give observer status to Haiti or Jamaica. Can you imagine that? Anyway, we got to get organized and we have to be unified. But unity
the works that need to be done.
There's no doubt. There's no way we can get around it. We have to have mass political education about the truth, the facts, and we have to have mass organization throughout Africa, unify all these organizations into one fighting force. Once we do that, it's ball game, and they know this, so they got to keep us divided. Thank you.
Hey, so we know what we've got to do. Rise up, brothers, easy way. Thank you for that presentation. We know what we've got to do. Despite, all of our differences, we've got to come together. Despite the religion, despite our tribalism, despite our nationality, despite our ethnicity, everything. We have to come together and unite as a people, because otherwise we're just going to be picked off in our individual states. So we're going to be doing a last round around our guest panel tonight. Let's see what we've got in the comments first. Last African saying the sheriff's on duty is right on. What's that about? Let's go up. The sheriff is saying they released the suspected killers of Malcolm X because the CIA/FBI agents who killed him are now dead. So they have escaped prosecution. You see how these murderers get to live out their life in full? Tuka Pamoja is saying, Neely Fuller said the race soldiers consider killing us as fun. Wow, wow, wow. That just takes me back to our days of enslavement and the wickedness that we went through and we suffered as a people in the name of their sports. Let me just read one or two more. The sheriff is saying, De Niro, I was really excited until I saw that Rihanna had been made their national hero. This is Barbados. She's achieved a lot, but and put Barbados on the map. But her friendship with the colonizers rings alarm bells for me. Last African is saying, we have to back up with resources those who advocate and fight for the mind of Fiwi people. Yes, indeed. I don't want to take up any more time because I want to hear from the other panel members. Let's go around. We've only got 40 minutes left, but Brother Abu, please go ahead. Let me hear from you. Take yourself off mute. Hopefully I'm being heard. Dr. Abu, over to you.
Budum.
Budum.
When I look at the Black Panther, Black Panther Party out there. One of the main aim of the Black Panther nutrition was to bring nutrition to our people, because when you lack a certain fuel, your body function different. The first food ever go to our mouth is from our mother. Minister of Nutrition. Today the society turned them into Minister of Beauty, dancer, queen, Minister of all kind, Minister of Corporate Business. What I'm trying to make you understand, when we run away from our purpose, you understand? Because we can support women with her purpose. And our nutrition is very important. But when it's not a primary source to us anymore. That is why even our army, if you run an army and they're in good nutrition, see, why you think some of our people them turn to drugs and alcohol and all of these things? Nutrition. You understand? And we, both African man and woman, have to get back to our purpose and leg up the European position. Because we all talk about, oh, prison. We all in prison. Because some of us doesn't see the bars. We all in prison. You know, those people where we call black MPs and black senators and all that, they are trustees. Just get it and stop fool ourselves. You understand? You know, we are going through a horror movie, but some of us just want to bring popcorn to the movie and ice cream. Voodoo.
Voodoo, rise up, Dr. Abu. So true. We're all in a prison. We're all being controlled. We're all being dictated to. We're in a open prison. You're right. Most of us don't even realize it. Hey, let's quickly go around. Sister Sheila, let's bring you back in here. What say you, Sister Sheila?
I give thanks. What I say today has been a day whereby I have been learning. And what I'm taking away is something that Dr. Abu said, whereby he said that going to tribunal is a demand. Going to tribunal is something that we should do. Rather than sitting there and signing endless petitions, we'd rather start doing these lawsuits. And that is something I'll take away. Do you know how many petitions I have signed? When Tabu was saying that, I was saying, oh my gosh, today I just signed a few more petitions. I signed a few more petitions as well today. And you know, I signed petitions and I think this is it. I never even know the feedback of those petitions. So basically, I could put my energy to use in another way, in a more productive way, because as we say, these lawsuits are a demand and they make the oppressor know that they cannot get away with it. But the most important thing, they give us a voice and they give our children a voice. It's also our children, you know, they can see that we're doing something about this. And then by speaking, sometimes we start on that journey of the tribunal and we reap so many other rewards in the process as well. So it is never just staying on the tribunal. There are many other great things that come from it. Sometimes even the connections that we end up building. Sometimes even the ideas that we end up generating. Sometimes other things that we end up, putting our people in places of power, in places of where they can speak for us, or having many Harriet Tubmans, like right now we say we are in prison, we are in jail, we are in the plantation. We need people like Harriet Tubman, our ancestors, who freed so many people. So sometimes when we start going on this tribunal journey, there are so many trajectories that happen once you're on that journey. So what I'll tell my people today is that finish, to hell with those petitions. Anytime a petition comes, we should see how can we upgrade this petition to a tribunal. Because wherever we are, there's always ways in which you can get to tribunals. And all those people with their names there with signature, because when you sign a petition, it gives the name of the signatures and the email addresses, they're all there. All those people, we should come together and take these cases that we are signing to tribunals. That is my takeaway today. And I'm also sharing it with you and say, you know what? Petitions are done. They are so gone. Right now, it is tribunals. We go for them. I give thanks. I give thanks for people.
We give thanks to you, Sister Sheila. Tribunals are the way forward. Okay, we hear you on that. The People's Tribunal. Yes, indeed. Brother Jammers, let's bring you in here, my brother.
Yeah, I can only endorse what everybody else has said, is that, yeah, we have to realize who the real criminals are. Every time they give us a look or a slander, we have to times it by a trillion, because these are the war criminals. You know, these are the war murderers. These are the war tribe abusers. You know, they misshape the whole of the education system. And you can't go to a criminal to get criminal justice. It's justice for the criminal. We have to come together, form our own courts, and lay charges against them for the criminal injustice they've done against the whole planet. This is the level that they've committed against us. The next thing we have to do is throw away, as I said earlier, their his story and go to our reality. Our reality is our spirit. The thing that they took away from us is our spirit. We have to get back our spirit. The spirit is the warrior spirit. The spirit feeds off spirit. Basically, we've been getting junk food with what we've been putting our spirit into. We can't absorb information from the oppressor. We've got to build up the spirit of our greatness. That will activate our intelligence. Our intelligence will activate our ability to navigate in this, because we function off a higher intelligence. But we have to throw away everything that they put in front of us and recognize our greatness, and then we can move forward with who we really are. You know, and the first thing, once again, is the rise of our spirit. The realities of our reality, we hold all the resources. This is the reality. We come from a land that has all the resources, all the energy, all the materials. Then we have to have a battle strategy from that, because we are the ones already in possession of wealth. And this is what they're trying to extract from us. And our wealth is just not physical. It's our energy. It's our presence. You know, so we have to start to safeguard our women and our future and rise our spirit. And that is the first step towards us reclaiming who we really are. We've got it already. We just have to claim it.
Ashe, ashe.
Ashe, ashe, ashe. Absolutely agree with you on that, Brother Jammers. Did you want to jump in, Brother CC Way?
Yes, ma'am. With that,
let me go back to the tribunal.
Okay. With that,
go ahead, Brother CC Way.
We get the spirit from the study of our history and culture. Kwame Nkrumah says, "I'm not African because I was born in Africa. I'm African because Africa is born in me." That spirit is already there. It just got to be tapped. It just got to be tapped. And when we study our history and culture and have the correct interpretation of our history and culture, that unleashes that spirit. In terms of organization, our people use many kinds of things. Some use petitions, some use tribunals, some concentrate on police brutality only, or a range of things. What we lack is coordination. What we lack is organization and coordination, so that the most revolutionary aspects of our struggle are pushed to the forefront. That's what we have to do. Tribunals are a very great instrument, without a doubt, to expose the enemies, what the enemy has done to our people on an international level. When you have one like that happened in New York, October 22nd and 25th, where you get people from around the world, like the one that happened at the World Conference Against Racism, like the one in 1990 that happened, all the way back to the one where Paul Robeson and William Patterson charged the United States with genocide, 1951. Malcolm X, El Hajj El Shabazz, was going to go to the United Nations and charge the U.S. with genocide of Africans in America. This is why they decided we got to kill him before he goes to the United Nations. But we also know this: the United Nations is a tool of imperialism. When Patrice Lumumba went and asked the United Nations to intervene when Moise Shombe tried to succeed from the Congo as a whole, they surrounded Lumumba and arrested him. Those are the enemy. And maybe that was a mistake on his behalf. And maybe that was a mistake for Malcolm to think that he could go to United Nations and charge them with genocide. The United Nations was created by the imperialists. But at any rate, this pressure that was being put on by the African nations who had joined the United Nations and brought us a whole lot of power from Africa into United Nations, those are what we call reformist measures. And Ahmed Sekou Touré says, we must make reform serve revolution. We must make reform serve revolution. So these things that are reformist measures, petitions, rallies, protests, boycotts, strikes, all these things help to build up a climate. They help to build up a climate for revolutionary change. So we appreciate the tribunals, even the petitions. All that stuff helps to add and build up the momentum to the final triumph of our people to create one unified socialist Africa and hope and contribute to the world socialist revolution that will eventually destroy the enemy and get rid of the world of all these unjust nation state, fascist states like the United States of America.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sister Shanice. Is on you.
Good. Give thanks.
Ashe, Ashe, rise up, brothers, easy way. That's exactly the direction of travel. I'm just going to go back to the tribunal. Hopefully you can hear me okay, family. Are you hearing me okay? My internet reception has been really awful tonight, but thank you for sticking with me. Are you hearing me okay at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay, it seems to be a bit all over the place. Okay, great. I just wanted to bring in about the police killing, and this is something that was addressed at the tribunal. It says that testimony was heard regarding an alarming pattern and practice of police murdering Black, Brown, and Indigenous.
Yes, Sister Shanice, things gone pan a stop, you know. Sister Sheila, you want to say something before she come in?
Yes, I could say something as she's coming in. I would say that the blatant, I've been following some of these cases and the results, the cases that have been happening in America with the verdicts coming. You find that you can look at the jury, and from the jury, you will know what the verdict is going to be. So you can see some cases are often close. Even if you've got a child and you explain to the child, this is what happened, the child will tell you automatically that no, this is the person that is wrong. It should not have been like this. But then the verdict with judges who've gone to university and have training, they come and they give you results that you sit and say, how can this be justice? Anyways, Sister Shanice is back. Sister Shanice, we were just holding space for you. We are ready for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Let me quickly jump in while I've got the chance of, dropping out again. But I was just highlighting, the police brutality and the police killings that was also part of this particular tribunal. And they were hearing the alarming pattern and practice of police murdering Black, Brown, and Indigenous people with impunity. The world recognizes that this is what has been happening in the US and around the world. And, even though there was a commission for inquiry that's highlighting all of this, it's still going on. And so us as Africans, we are being attacked you know, as we go about our business by the police, and this isn't something new. Mass incarceration, that's already been mentioned as well. And the testimonies was emphasizing there as well. The case of how the US is using its constitutional laws, you know, to incarcerate people in large numbers. Now, I'm aware of the challenges with the internet, so let me just move out the way and bring in Brother Jammers, because we haven't heard from him. We'll come back to you, Brother. Brother Jammers, do you have a last few words for us? We're going to do 1 minute each around the panel.
Yeah, what I want to touch on again is this spirit, because I was talking about the breaking of the spirit. So I just want to touch on what is the spirit. Even the word spirit is a prison that they've given us to use, because even if you go to one of their most esteemed priests, cannot explain what spirit means, you know. So even the very words they give us don't come from an African Kemetic context. So the word spirit, the last two letters of the word spirit relates to your higher consciousness, the al, the el. This is where you get the word Elohim from. So we are generated by a higher intelligence that governs our body, our organs, the way we move in gravity, you know, the way our skin repairs itself, the blood circulation. This is who we really are. We're not the physical. We have a higher intelligence. The things that we are doing right now are menial. It's like a king playing around in mud. This is what we're doing now with our spirit. So we have a higher intelligence, which is the al. This is the part that we need to focus on the rest of it is what's imprisoned us, because the rest of the word spirit is a ritual. A ritual is something that you do without a thought process. So you are putting your higher intelligence into a task that you're not even thinking about. That is demeaning your own self by your very actions, because you once again are the al, the el, which is the higher consciousness that governs beyond your thought capacities. Then you've got the word spy. So the word spy means when you look at something. So we are looking at things and demeaning our whole higher consciousness on the task that we're performing for other people. We are not fulfilling who we really are, because we're not activating ourselves to manifest that, or just let our higher intelligence move for us. We are governed by the menial tasks that other people put in front of us, rather than taking care of our destiny, which is our woman and our young stars. You know, so once we forget about the ritual and looking at the tasks that other people are doing and focus on our higher being, that's the way we activate our spirit, and we become warriors, not warriors. Thank you.
Wow, rise up, Brother Jammers. You have just, you know, woken up something in my spirit there, you know, and the word that comes to mind is our resurrection. That's what the world and the environment and the animal kingdom and what planet is waiting for. Our resurrection, when we wake up and realize who we are and elevate ourselves to that higher level of consciousness, then it's game over. Wow, wow, wow. Let's hear just 1 minute from you, please, Brother Zizi. We're 3 minutes at the top of the hour.
Very quickly, I forgot to talk about this point that Sister Sheila brought up, was that in Kenya, all over Africa, the police do the same thing. So this is an international problem, and that's the class aspect of this whole thing, is that the imperialists put in place in these governments in Africa are governments that are more repressive than the Europeans was, a la South Africa. They just recently in Eswatini, they're killing people. In South Africa, the police are killing our people worse than it was under apartheid. So it happens internationally. And that's what neocolonialism
we hear
is
you on that. Hence why our people need to resurrect themselves and elevate themselves above this system, this crazy system that so many of our people want to be part of. Dr. Abu, let's hear a final word from you, my brother.
Mind, body, and frequency. You know, that's the thing that we are on. You know, I'm not going with the mind, body, and because them been souling us out a long time. That's you know. It's a frequency. And if we get on our frequency, we can combat anything. So give thanks to the panel, and give thanks to you, Sister Shanice, for this beautiful frequency.
Thank you so, so much. I want to rise up all the panel. I want to rise up everybody in the chat. I want to thank you so, so much for your comments. Please also do put some comments under the video when you come out of the show tonight. We apologize, you know, for the frequency problems, for the connection, you know, out of my control. I'm just waiting for our young African entrepreneurs to come with a new system for connecting us here on the motherland. I know that our young brothers have the ability. I know that they have the ideas and the vision. I just want to encourage any young African that's listening right now to come with a system that is better than this European system that we're having to use right now. Rise up, Africans everywhere. Keep rising to that higher level. Let's resurrect above, you know, the pathetic systems that we're all being controlled by to our proper place.
Ready for revolution. Ready for revolution.
Ready for the revolution. Rise up, family. Yes, more love, more strength, more voodoo to the entire family. Sister Shanice out of here. Until next show. Voodoo power. Hey, love it, love it.
Voodoo, 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 voodoo.
Voodoo.
Thank you, sister.